go from looking like this to looking like this? Well, every single client is different and there are a few ways you can approach this. Number one is going on something called a building phase or a bulk, where you are focused on building as much muscle mass as possible and then stripping down the fat once you are finished. The second option is to start in a cutting phase or a fat loss phase, where you are trying to strip down as much fat as possible while still maintaining a good physique, prioritizing your resistance training and adding muscle. Number three, what if we can combine both at the same time, building muscle and losing fat? This is something called body recomposition. There are certain individuals that will benefit more from a body recomposition process than others. These include, number one, beginners. People who have no experience at the gym or very minimal experience lifting weights will see more muscle gains than people who are lifting for 5 or 6 years. Two, detrained individuals who have spent some time away from the gym, possibly because of an injury. Number three, people with a higher body fat percentage because they do have more fat to lose. And especially if you're incorporating resistance training, you are more likely to lose body fat and gain muscle around the same rate. If you fall into one of these three categories, consider body recomposition as your way to lose fat and gain muscle. The first thing you need to do is set up your diet, which is arguably the most important aspect of all of this. Yes, you need to be in a caloric deficit for you to set fat loss, but make sure your calories aren't too low to begin with, because then you're not going to sustain your fat loss results for a long period of time. Want to get into a slight caloric deficit, keeping in mind that you are prioritizing resistance training, which means that your muscles will need food and fuel to recover from those sessions. You want to keep your protein intake at least to 1 gram per pound of body weight so your muscles can grow bigger and stronger. Research has shown that the greater the caloric deficit, the least likely it is for your body to undergo muscle protein synthesis. In other words, if you have a greater caloric deficit, it's going to be harder for you to gain muscle. That's why it's so important for you to have the amino acids, the building blocks to build that muscle. You want to get into that slight caloric deficit by decreasing your overall calories by about 5 to 20% below your maintenance. I'd suggest 5% for somebody who is already naturally lean or skinny fat, and 20% for people who have more fat to lose. Second thing you need to do to undergo body recomposition is change your training split in some way. This may mean adding different exercises, increasing the amount of reps, decreasing the amount of sets that you're doing. Something has to be different about your workouts that will elicit a new stimulus to your muscles for them to grow bigger and stronger. When you do have that new program, make sure you are progressively overloading week by week, adding reps, adding sets, decreasing the tempo so that you can get stronger within the same program. Number three, we need to optimize your nutrient timing. A recently published paper in 2020 showed that people who spread out their protein intake evenly throughout the day saw greater muscle protein synthesis compared to individuals who just had 2 big meals of protein and calories throughout their day. Their protein and calories were also equated. Your total protein intake and try to distribute it as evenly as possible throughout the day. I would suggest that you add possibly 10 more grams of protein towards your post-workout meal. Speaking of which, you also want to optimize your meals around your workout. Research has shown that if you ingest adequate amounts of protein in your pre and post-workout meal, not only will you have better recovery, you're going to build more muscle compared to if you didn't eat anything at all or very minimal protein. As you take these 3 action steps that I discussed in this video, I also want you to take body measurements. Take measurements of your arms, your waist, your legs, so that you can understand if you are progressing towards your goals or away from them. Body scale measurements can also be helpful, but what's also important is taking progress photos and making sure you are aware of how your clothes are fitting. Keep in mind that if your scale measurement is staying the same, but your waist circumference is getting smaller, that is a good sign that you are decreasing the amount of body fat you have on your body while increasing the amount of muscle mass. With that being said, you want to make sure you are staying patient because this process takes some time. Drop a comment down below if you're going to be trying some body recomposition. That's it for me, guys. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye.